Welcome to Speaking Canadian. My name is Esther and I work at Immigrant Services. This show is for anybody who's interested in English language learning, how English is spoken in Canada, and some immigrant stories. I thought in a radio show like this we could work together to share information, language learning tips, funny stories, and your own experiences in learning English. If you are learning English, you might sometimes feel like you're the only one frustrated by your accent, or you're the only one missing all the slang and sayings that people are using around you. But you'll have to trust me, you aren't. And the reason I know this is because I work in the Language Assessment Center at Immigrant Services. So if you've gone to ESL or LINK classes or know someone else who has, you probably met me at Immigrant Services for an English test. And one of the things that I've noticed in my life and in the lives of my client is that feeling at home anywhere, you really need to understand the people around you, and you also need to be understood. And even though this show is going to focus on language, I think this understanding goes way beyond language and moves also into culture. So I really hope through this show to share some Canadian culture with you too, and sort of look at the intersection of language and culture. So I often tell people that I have the best job in the world. I get to meet and welcome so many new immigrants to Guelph and Wellington County. So I really love hearing about their lives and talking with people about how they can improve their English. I often hear about the struggles and the challenges people who are learning English face in their everyday life, trying to live, study, and work in their second, third, and even fourth language. I really admire the strength of character it takes to do this. A little bit more about me is that I do have an ESL teaching certificate, and my family is many, many generations in Canada. I'm a long-time Canadian. I wanted to share some of the common everyday bits of English that you hear around you that nobody ever explains. You just have to learn it. And I also hope to share some Canadian music and culture with you too, wherever I can in the show. Today's show, we're going to talk to Jean Seri. He's a French-speaking immigrant from Ivory Coast. He's going to tell us about his experience coming to Canada and learning English. And the last part of the show, I'm going to give you a little bit of Canadian culture vocabulary. So I'm going to give you a little hint. Have you ever gone to a stag and doe?
La Côte d'Ivoire est une et indivisible. Pour l'amour, les enfants de demain.
L'amour, tu étais pour l'un, j'ai voté pour l'autre. Nous avons travaillé ensemble, partagé les mêmes plats. Tu m'as fermé ta porte et j'ai tourné mes pas.
Tu as défendu ta Côte d'Ivoire, j'ai combattu pour la mienne. Au terre d'espérance, nous te reconstruirons. Tu as défendu ta Côte d'Ivoire, j'ai combattu pour la mienne. Au terre d'espérance, nous te reconstruirons.
Tu pries Dieu en français, je l'invoque en arabe. Nos parents faisaient comme ça, et pourquoi pas nous? Tu as perdu ta sœur, elle était un modèle. Mon fils est mort sous les balles, en artisan de grandeur, en artisan de grandeur.
Tu as défendu ta Côte d'Ivoire, j'ai combattu pour la mienne. Au terre d'espérance, nous te reconstruirons. Tu as défendu ta Côte d'Ivoire, j'ai combattu pour la mienne. Au terre d'espérance, nous te reconstruirons.
J'ai eu faim, tu as eu soif, nous avons eu peur, nos enfants ont pleuré. Mère Côte d'Ivoire, pardon, nous relèverons ta dignité. Ce se bâtiront dans le bonheur. Les enfants, séchez vos larmes, nous vous donnerons la fraternité.
Welcome back. If you're just starting to listen, this show is called Speaking Canadian, where we will talk about and with people learning English. Right now, we're taking a chance to talk to a new friend of mine named Jean Seri. I invited him to do this first show today because he immigrated to Canada a few years ago, and I think he has some interesting things to say about living in Canada and learning English. So let's talk, Jean. First, tell us who you are and what made you want to come to Canada.
Good morning, Esther. My name is Jean Seri. I'm missionary with SIM and Transworld Radio for West Africa area in Côte d'Ivoire. I came to Canada for my home assignment because my wife is Canadian from Toronto. Our mission office is also in Toronto, and my dream was to learn English to write my report in English for Transworld Radio.
So what is your first language?
My first language is French, and my mother tongue is Bété, one of 64 languages in Ivory Coast.
64?
64.
Okay.
That is why we choose French like our first language.
I want to take 1 minute just to talk about what Jean does at Immigrant Services. He comes to us every Tuesday and runs a French conversation circle for people in the Guelph area who want to learn a little more French. So all of you listeners are always welcome to come and meet him in person and try to learn a little more French. Now, I want to go back to talking to Jean a little bit and find out what kind of activities and work you've been involved in since coming to Canada.
Since my arrival, I took English at Conestoga Link program and every course at Conestoga College in Kitchener in Leadership Development Theory. I have tutored kids in French, did substitute teacher at a Trillium here in Guelph, and worked with ACFO, Employment Resource Center. I am also involved in my church in Kitchener.
And how were your English skills when you arrived in Canada?
My English was very bad because I didn't want to learn English like a second language in my country. When I was in high school, I chose German.
What are some of the challenges you faced functioning with limited English skills?
That is a good question.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the beginning, when you came here in this area in Ontario, you have to talk with people.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have English, that will be difficult for you to communicate with people.
Mm-hmm.
That will be difficult for you to ask where you can go to take the bus, where you can go to buy something, where you can go to have some fun trick you like. And for me, it's good to try to speak with people.
Mm-hmm.
I like interaction with people. That is why I say it's better to go and jump in the English and try to learn.
Try to learn, okay.
Yes.
Now, what would you say to people who feel shy or embarrassed when they make mistakes in English? Do you have any advice?
Yes. It's better when you make a mistake to ask people to correct you. Some people don't like to make a mistake. In the beginning, I was so shy. I didn't want to speak because I say I don't want to make a mistake. And one of my teachers said, Jean, you want to speak English? Open your mouth. Say everything you have in your mind, and we can correct you, and that will help you to speak. And I tried to do that, And after that, I said, oh, I can speak English. That is that is amazing. But if you don't want people to correct you, you will not speak English.
Now, you were telling me that, you found that your teacher was very supportive of you speaking English. What about when you were out in the community? Did you find people helpful?
Yes. I give you one example. Because I'm missionary, I have to join one church here and work with them. And when I went to Benton Street Baptist Church at Kitchener, downtown, I joined ESL class in the church every Wednesday, and the leader of ESL found someone who speak little French, and this man came in my house every Thursday for 1 hour to help me to practice my English with him. When I make a mistake, he correct me and he said, okay, you say this in English, that is not correct because you use your French. You have to say this. And we do that many times. And after that, when I went to Conestoga Dune for leadership development series, I was with Canadian people and they speak fast. And I try to listening and to understand what they say, and that helped me to open my ears and to understand what they say.
Well, that's great. I'm happy to hear that you actually found another way outside of the classroom to practice English.
Okay, another way is to talk with your neighbors or try to play some games like Scrabble, a word search, that challenge your mind when you play this kind of the game.
Can you tell me one part of the English language that really drives you crazy? I know there has to be something.
The idioms and grammar drive me crazy. I have a bad habit when I speak English. I forget my past tense. And that makes me crazy. But when I speak in French, I remember everything.
Well, of course, that's your first language. And you know how many people tell me the past tense makes them crazy, and I meet so many people, even very advanced English speakers, that have learned English that forget the past tense. And the good thing is we understand anyways. Okay. We all understand each other. So let's move away from just talking about English, and I'd like to talk a bit about Canadian culture and customs. Can you tell us about a Canadian culture or custom that was very new to you, maybe a bit strange or difficult for you to get used to?
I was so surprised about that you do not ask people if they are married and how old they are. Because in my country, you can ask people, are you married? How old you are? But here, it's not possible to do that. And when you talk with someone, you have to look them in the eyes. In my country, or in Africa, you are not allowed to look at in the eyes of elders because that is impolite. Look in the eyes of ladies in my country when you talk, a sign of you love this lady. Body language is important in job interview to communicate here in Canada. Here you should phone first before visiting friends in Côte d'Ivoire or Ivory Coast. You can just drop in on them to say hello.
Do you know anybody in Canada? Like, have you come across anybody? They always want a phone call first.
Here in Canada, they say you have to phone me before you come. And that makes me crazy. I say, why I have to phone you? You are my friend. If I want to see you, I come and I knock your door and you open the door. Every time my wife say, you have to phone your friend before. I say, why?
Yeah.
He is my friend. I have to go to visit him. That means I love him.
Yeah.
But when I found, what I have to say, we put out something, push us to be joined. Because when I found you, you said, okay, my friend will come, I have to do this, I have to do this.
Yeah.
But when I came, I surprised you. That make me happy.
Yeah,
Yes.
I can see
because
it.
Because it's what we say, spontaneous.
Yes, spontaneous.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That is a meaning of love. You love your friend, you come to visit him.
Yeah. Well, I think there are some Canadian people, I am one of them, who likes to have a spontaneous visitor. So I hope that you find some Canadian friends who like that. We're moving towards cooler weather now.
Mm-hmm.
With you being from such a warm part of the world, how
Yes.
did you find adjusting to the climate here in Canada?
The weather is another culture shock for me. We have 2 seasons, summer and rainy season. Every day is summer, but here is so difficult. You have to have clothes for winter, clothes for summer, clothes for, what can I say, autumn and spring and
You need a big closet, is that what you're saying,
yes,
Jean?
you need to have a big closet and another thing, a lot of shoes.
Oh, a lot of shoes, for
Yes.
sure, yes.
In the beginning, I say, why I have to wear heavy clothes that make me, what can I say, sick because I don't like to wear heavy clothes. Look at me now.
Yeah. Jean is wearing a t-shirt.
T-shirt. And the weather is not 25 degrees.
It's
but
not. It's a cool day
cool
today,
day,
and he
but-
has a t-shirt.
Yes. Another thing, I was surprised for the color of the tree. Now, in autumn, the tree that lost the leaves in winter. For us, this kind of the tree are dying.
They're dead.
Yes.
Oh, well then you must like to see all the leaves come back in the spring.
Yes.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite parts of the year, when the leaves all come back.
Another thing,
Mm-hmm.
the snow in winter is another culture shock. For us, we don't have snow. I was so happy to play in the snow and remove it.
Oh yeah?
Yes.
You like to shovel snow?
Yes.
Okay.
That is a good exercise for me
It is.
to keep my body warm. And one day I was shoveling a long driveway and I froze my ear.
Oh no. You got frostbite.
I didn't know that. I thought it was a mosquito bite.
okay.
Mosquito bite or mosquito bite?
Mosquito bite.
Mosquito bite.
Yeah.
And after that, I showed my ear to my wife. She said, "Oh, you froze your ear."
Yeah.
I didn't know that. And that was my surprise in winter.
Wow. Well, if we have any listeners out there who are new to Canada and it's your first winter, learn from Jean's mistake. Cover your ears in very cold weather or you can get frostbite on them. Well, what do you miss most about Côte d'Ivoire?
I miss the climate warmth. We say warm or warmth?
Warmth.
Warmth. And human warmth too. I miss my family standing in church because in my country you have your family, but you have your cousin, your niece, uncle, aunt. All of this is your family. But here, you and your wife and your children are your family.
Yeah.
And I miss. When I start, I say I like interaction with people. And sometimes I want to go back. But I'm here to learn.
Yeah.
And I will say thank you to God who helped me to stay here and to continue to learn my English.
I think that a lot of people out there listening probably really can relate to you saying, I miss my extended family. that feeling of having my uncles and cousins all around me for regular visits and dropping in on people and all those kinds of things. And that's one thing I always hope that new immigrants start to feel more comfortable and at home in Canada and feel like they can get a family around them by making lots of close friends. Well, thank you so much today, Jean, for coming in and telling us about your own experience in living in Canada for the first couple of years. How many years? Just remind us how many years you've been here.
3 years.
3 years.
And I want to get Canadian citizenship.
Okay.
And I send my application. I'm waiting for the test. And after that, if God will, maybe the mission will send us back, maybe in Côte d'Ivoire or in Benin, to do our missionary job.
So you kind of have two homes now.
I have two, here and
Canada
Côte d'Ivoire.
and Côte d'Ivoire. Well, thank you very much, Jean. We hope to talk to you again soon.
Okay. Thank you.
So that was my conversation with Jean Serry from the Ivory Coast in Africa. He was so lovely to speak to, and he really brought up some interesting things. And when we spoke about Canadian customs, when I thought about what he said about asking if someone is married or how old they are, the tradition of dropping in for spontaneous visits, and eye contact, the common thread was always about interacting with people and the differences that he noticed. Just watch. That's something I recommend a lot to people learning English. Just notice what people around you are doing with their body language and with their speech. And you might notice a lot more if you pay closer attention to how people look at each other when they talk, how far apart they stand from each other, maybe how they touch each other or don't touch each other when they talk, and what their relationship to one another is. Are they strangers? Are they colleagues? I'm interested to know what you think. If you've heard the show today and you've heard the interview and you have some thoughts about what Jean talked about or some of the things I just said, please email me at ebruins, EBRUINS, at is-gw.ca. You can tell me what you think. I will try to respond, and maybe I can talk about it next time. Okay, this is the fun part of the show. I saved the best till last. And if you've never heard that saying, it's a saying that describes when you save the best or the most exciting piece of something to the very end, to keep your listeners hooked. That was my hope. So I have a little fun story for you. At Immigrant Services, you might know that a lot of the staff here are immigrants too, and it makes it a really fun workplace. One of my coworkers here has been in Canada for many, many years, and she's from an Asian country. She came into the office one day and she was selling tickets for a party that before her son's wedding. And she wanted us at the office to buy tickets. And she said, "Come buy these tickets for this stacking dough." And I said, "What do you mean? What's a stacking dough?" I couldn't understand. I was wondering what she was talking about. So stacking dough. Okay. So I looked at the tickets, and what it looked like to me was tickets for a stag and doe. I'm going to spell stag and doe for you. S-T-A-G, and then you use the word and then D-O-E. So a stag and doe party is a party that helps a couple who's going to get married raise some money before their wedding. And my coworker's son was marrying a Canadian girl, and they were going to have a stag and doe. And a stag is a male deer, and a doe is a female deer. So now you can see where the name stag and doe comes from. A couple often will have this party, and it's a fun party. and they invite all their friends, and they charge money for the tickets. And at the party, they play games that will raise money for the couple, usually to go on a trip called a honeymoon. So this is a really long-standing Canadian tradition to have this kind of party. My coworker and I had such a great laugh together about the stag and doe confusion. But the most important part of it to me was that I had a chance to share some of my Canadian culture with her, because she's always sharing her spring rolls with me. And my little reflection about it when I thought about it was that no matter how long you're in Canada or anywhere, you always can learn something new. 10 years, 10 months, 10 days, there's always something new to learn about the new culture you're in. Thanks so much for listening to Speaking Canadian today. I hope you enjoyed the time as much as I did. And thanks to Jean Suri. And also, feel free to contact me, Esther Bruins, at Immigrant Services with any of your language questions. I'm always interested in hearing what you're thinking about in terms of learning English. To take us out of the show today, I'm going to play you a song that you would definitely hear at a stag and doe, or any Canadian party, when you're well into the party, everybody's having a good time and ready to dance. This song is called Home for a Rest, and it's by a folk band called Spirit of the West. Enjoy, and talk to you next time.
You'll have to excuse me, I'm not in my best. I've been gone for a month, I've been drunk since I left. These so-called vacations will soon be my death. I'm so sick from the drink, I need home for a rest. We arrived in December and London was cold. We stayed in the bars along Charing Cross Road. We never saw nothing but brass taps and no kept a shine on the bar with the sleeves of our coats. You'll have to excuse me, I'm not at my best. I've been gone for a week, I've been drunk since I left, and these so-called vacations will soon be my death. I'm so sick from the drink, I need home for a rest. Take me home. Station, the train journey north. In the bumping car, we looked back and forth past old crooked dikes, through Yorkshire's green fields. We were flung into dance as the train jigged and reeled. You'll have to excuse me, I'm not at my best. I've been gone for a week, I've been drunk since I left, and these so-called vacations will soon be my death. I'm so sick from the drink, I need home for a rest. Take me home. Will soon be my death. I'm so sick from the drink, I need home for a rest. Take me home. The casket is empty, it's down past the tomb. The spirits we drank, and a ghost in the room. I'm knackered again, come on sleep, take me soon. And don't lift up my head till the 12 bells at noon. You'll have to excuse me, I'm not at my best. I've been gone for a month, I've been drunk since I left, and these so-called vacations will soon be my death. I'm so sick